This is simple. There's a lot of simple parts to this that I think are going to be complicated, and a lot of people want to pile on. I think everyone's missing something really, really important. The basics of this are pretty simple. Fox is now paying an $800 million settlement in a defamation case with Dominion Voting Systems. There's another suit that's on its way, and they're going to have to settle that one as well. You're going to say, well, Jeff, what's so simple about this? I think there's there's just the whole thing is simple, and then I think then I think in the end there's a complicated part that no one is even really thinking about that I think Fox realized, and they had to get out. It may be the most important part. It may be more important than the money. So the simple part is, because I think the settlement was more about strategy than it was about money, but it was simple for Fox. Okay? You lie about voting and a business is damaged, it's your fault. Yep, got it. It could have simply been prevented. I mean, easily. This was, where did I see somewhere? 3 words. It's all it took. It's all it took. And this could have easily been prevented. Even after it happened, the lies about the voting and all that, just stupid, mind-numbingly stupid stuff. Okay? If you believe it, you're a moron. You're just a moron. But this easily could have been prevented on the Fox side. I'm just talking about the business now. And with any ethics and any common sense at all your hosts had to do, even after it was said by drunk Rudy Giuliani, lunatic other lawyers, whatever nut job went on there to say the voting systems are fixed, it could have easily been prevented by saying, if that's true. Someone's drunk Rudy is sitting across from you doing what drunk Rudy does. And you just say, well, if that's true, if that's true. You can come back after the fact and say, if that's true, if that were true, problem solved. Now, I don't think that's what's really in play here, the only thing in play here, but golly, that would have been easy. That's $800 million, and more is coming. Had each of the hosts, even after they let drunken Rudy or whatever buffoon in the gang say the machines were fixed, you could correct it. And the next time drunk Rudy and the rest of the buffoons said the machines were fixed, you just had to say, if that's true. And then he yells back at you, well, what do you mean if that's true? You just calmly say, if that's true. And you know how much you're paying? You're paying 0. If that's true. Somebody should be screaming in your ear. Hey, tell drunk Rudy if that's true. That's it. You save $800 million. Now you're out $800 million because you let the lying go and it damaged the business. It's not just about the lying. It's not about saying stupid stuff. Look, in the talk show business, we're full of stupid stuff, but it's lying that damages a business, knowingly damages a business, and all you ever had to say was, if that's true. Rudy, you're drooling again, but if that's true, problem solved. Now another $800 million is coming their way with the exact same setup with another voting machine company. You unethical fools. That's all you had to do. At any point, just if that's true. Here's the story. Then I'm going to tell you what the smart play by Fox was. Forget the money. Forget the money. The smart play. Fox News has settled Dominion Voting Systems' $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against the Rupert Murdoch-owned organization, averting a lengthy, expensive, and certain to be embarrassing trial. They had to settle. They had to settle, and they had to settle for a reason far more than money. I'm going to argue. I mean, they probably talked about it all along. We can't let stuff get out. We've got to settle. Here's Dominion. Fox pays Dominion $787.5 million under the deal. Fox has admitted, this is what Dominion CEO John Poulos says. They make the voting machines. Rudy said when he was drunk or sober, probably, but not often, the machines were fixed. Got it? And if you ran the business and somebody lied and said your business is fixed or it's price gouging, whatever, and you paid a price and there were real damages, real measurable damages, you'd get mad too. This is not an example of saying, I think he's a buffoon, or I think you're a fool, or the election is stupid. It's not that. It's they did something wrong, and you lied about it, and they paid a price. You're going to pay a price, but I don't think that's what this is about. The CEO says, Fox has admitted to telling lies about Dominion that caused enormous damage to my company, our employees, and our customers we serve. Nothing can make up for that. Blah, blah, blah. Here's what Fox said. We are pleased to have reached a settlement of our dispute with Dominion Voting Systems. We acknowledge the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. Throw up if you want. We are hopeful that our decision allows the country to move forward from these issues. End quote. Throw up again, please. That's not what it's about. There's more to it. I'm telling you, there's far more to it. And I have to say, it's a pretty smart move. Remember, kids, check your emotion at the door. Think only in terms of strategy. And I think the strategy here was unavoidable, but I got to give them credit for seeing it and saying we got to get out now. Dominion's attorneys have planned to offer up emails and text messages. Now, this is where I'm going. This is what you haven't thought about. This is the kind of weird stuff I think about. Dominion's attorneys plan to offer up emails and text messages showing that the Murdochs, other top Fox brass, and news personalities personally doubted and derided Trump's claims that the 2020 election was rigged. Yet, still let the allegations be amplified by on-air hosts and guests. Okay, this is why I'm going to tell you this is much, much more important than the money. This was a smart settlement well beyond the money. Okay? They had to save the brand. They had to save the brand, and they had to settle, and I'll tell you why. Because this is a tough game. And I don't mean a tough game because, they're in the media business. I mean, they're in the media business with one audience. It's very, very difficult, very tenuous when you have no new customers coming in the door. Really important you hang on to the audience you have. You're following me? Okay. They could not have allowed the facts make them out to be frauds. Fraudulent in that, not in the legal sense. I mean fraudulent as in what you tell the audience. The audience could not hear, you're not that. The audience could not hear, you've been lying to me. You don't really care about, do you think Trump's a buffoon after all? No, they couldn't, the business, the brand itself would dissolve. They couldn't let that get out. Forget the $800 million. You couldn't let it get out that most of the people there are nothing. They don't believe any of the stuff they're telling you. No, I shouldn't say that. Some of the stuff they're telling you. That would be brand disaster. I mean, I know somebody had to see that. They had to feel it. In fact, the host themselves probably said, listen, if you let these emails and these texts get out of what we called him and how stupid we said this was and how we're nothing like what we've been telling people, we got real problems on our hand because that old lady is going to turn me off. If she thinks I'm lying to her, I'm nothing more than WWE. I know you can fill in your jokes. I know. Go ahead, fill them all in. I know. But I'm just telling you to save the brand and the connection to the audience because they only have one audience. Nobody new was coming in. It's a very successful business. But as people age, people become more brand loyal. There is no audience more loyal than the elderly. It's their audience. They can't burn them. That audience wants to hear, you told me they're scum. You told me they're cheating. You told me, and I got a connection to you, and I'm brand loyal to you. What if that audience finds out it's all, they could give a flip about you, old lady? They could care, they'd make fun of you too. They couldn't let that out because that dissolves everything. Their connection to the audience is destroyed. If that old lady or your knuckleheaded uncle who watches and has got it on a loop starts to think, wait a minute, you mean you think he's an idiot? You think Trump's an idiot? Really? You're making fun of him like everyone else is? You're calling him a buffoon like that Ward guy? I'm giving up on you. That's not fair. You lied to me. Fill in the blank host. You lied to me. It's a really important connection. It's a really, really important connection with that particular audience. Most other audiences and most other media have other stuff to do. They'll go do something else. They'll move right on. It's tough to hang on to them. That one you can hang on to as long as you keep telling them what they want to hear. But I suspect if they find out you lied to them and you're really nothing like you say, you're done. Your show's toast, man. So the Fox brand is part of its customers' lives, okay? And that's probably practically unlike any audience outside of Alex Jones's. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, we all have audiences. We all have people that want to hear what we have to say. We hope, if you do it right, your audience finds you interesting, your audience finds you compelling, your audience wants to come back for more. That's what we do for a living. There are very few as brand loyal and as committed as that one. That's a livelihood to them. Most of you listening to me, we're done with each other, right? You like it, dislike it, you dig it, I make you think, we move on. That one is their life. You are my connection. You are my middle finger to the rest of the world. And now if I find out you're like the rest of them and you make fun of Trump and call him an idiot like that Ward guy, and you really don't mean any of this stuff, your brand is toast. That's worth more than $800 million because that's what they were facing. I mean, if I was the lawyer on the other side, I believe he's an Austin guy, but if I was a lawyer on the other side and I had talked to somebody and said, hey, man, what's that audience like? I'd say, you know what's really terrifying them? They lose that audience. That elderly fill-in-the-blank rural audience says, you mean you really kind of like everyone else? You don't like him either? You're lying to me? That would scare me. So I know you're going to think what I'm analyzing here is crazy. I don't think I am. That audience is sort of probably like Alex Jones's. It's not a show. It's not a thought-provoking exercise. It is, man, you and I have a connection, and we're telling everyone else to flip off. You're on my side. We're at war, man. You and I are at war. And all of a sudden you realize that person talking to you lives completely different than you, is in Manhattan, driving a Range Rover, and thinks Trump's a buffoon. You're pissed, and you leave. That's what they were facing. That's why they had to settle, in my opinion. So Fox could not have let that happen, in my opinion. That is, pull the curtain back and find out the hosts are just goofing on you. They really don't mean that stuff at all. They laughed at Rudy when he left. They said, oh my gosh, what a drunken idiot. Imagine that, because you know who would turn on them. You know who would say, I told you they're bad. The Pied Piper would turn on them, and that would cause real market share damage. So they couldn't afford to have the audience think they're fake. They couldn't have the audience think they are laughing at Trump. They couldn't afford to have the audience believe they thought it was a joke too. And I suspect that's what was going to be uncovered, is they had thought it was a joke. They laugh at him, probably make fun of him all day long. So that part of the settlement, I think a lot of people are missing. You're thinking it's just about the damage done to the business. The real damage that could have been done is the disclosure that they thought the whole thing was a joke anyway.